just wait. There we go. We want to factorize this completely. X cubed plus 3x squared minus 6x minus 8. Factorize completely. Now, we know to factorize completely, it's got to look like something like this, of course. Even with the other question, it's not fully finished. You should be able to factorize it fully. But we are going to factorize fully in this case, okay? So it's going to look something like that. Or, if you couldn't factorize, obviously, then it's just going to look like that. That's also fine. Unless this could have been factorized, right? So if your quadratic can be factorized, well, then you must factorize it. If your quadratic can't be factorized, well, then obviously just leave it in its unfactored form. Cool? Make sense? Of course. If it can't be factorized, don't factorize. If it can be factorized, fully factorized. That's it. All right, here we go. We want to factorize this. We don't have what to divide by, so we're going to look at the 8. We're going to say, okay, our factors are going to be plus minus 8, plus minus 2, plus minus 4, and plus minus 1. You just got to sub in each one. I'm going to get my calculator out and try, from what I can see, probably maybe try minus 1.
How do you know what to try? Do you just pick it randomly?
Right now you do, yes. Okay, minus 1 works.
Oh, okay.
Don't forget, I've done a lot of math in my lifetime. So the way I see it, look, small coefficients, look, the only guy really that's going to not be affected through your substitution is what? Yeah. So I'm looking at these coefficients and I'm like, okay, they're not going to be that massive. If I sub in an 8, think about how big this is going to become and this is going to become and how small these are compared to that. So I already know it's kind of a small substitution. Then I subbed in 1 and I saw that that's not going to work out and I knew it's going to be minus 1 because that's a negative. That's going to stay positive. That's going to make that into a positive and that's going to obscure my negatives down again. So 2 positives, 2 negatives. I'm kind of hit the right track, yeah? But you don't know that again. All right? So don't think you have a sure method right now. So just go to sub it in. So P of minus 1 did give me 0, so that's fantastic. So now I know my factor is x plus 1, and I'm going to assume all these can factorize perfectly, so there is no constant, hopefully. I mean, you don't know that. Obviously, in your exam, you just have to use polynomial division. But if it usually says factorize completely in extension 1, you're going to assume always it's no constants. So here we go. Again, we have an x there. We have an x cubed there, clearly. Let me use a different color to highlight that, I guess. That's an x cubed. That's an x. This must have been just an x squared. So then when I expand it, I've got an x cubed. And you should see that right there. That's a minus 8. 1 times what is going to give me minus 8? Well, 1 times minus 8. And then I know this is an x, but I know through expanding, it's going to be coefficients of x squared. Yeah. Right? So then x times, you don't know what this is yet. Right? So that's going to be like an ax squared kind of type. But you know the coefficient of this.
Doesn't it just equal to?
You know the coefficient of this. That equals to 1.
Yeah. Right?
So plus 1x squared, and that equals to 3x squared. And then you, again, because you're equating, you're not really looking at the x squareds. You're just looking at the actual coefficients. So a is obviously equal to, as you said, positive 2x. A is equal to 2, which becomes 2x. Right? And then because we can factorize this a little bit more, and that's what I said, if this can't be factorized, ready? You leave it in the square brackets. If it can be factorized, which in this case it can, you got to write it in fully factorized form, which is x plus 1, x plus 4, and then x minus 2. So if I subbed in 2 here, it would have also worked, and if I subbed in minus 4, it would have also worked. That's what I was trying to say. And if you had subbed in 2, it would have just given you a quadratic in regards to these two. That's all. Right? So there's no sure way of actually working it out. So there's not, hey Sam, does it have to be x plus 1 first? No, you could have done x minus 2 first. Cool?